Hello, this is Broyar, and welcome back to another episode of our Let's Play for Football Manager 2021. We are continuing our Journeyman Glory Hunter series with Marseille. Still got the job for right now, although we are definitely, I wouldn't say on the clock, I guess on the points. Because if we do not get to the points that we need, 10 points in the first 5 games of this next season, we are very much likely going to be out of a job. So here's hoping that we can do that. Today's episode is going to be our kind of a little bit of end of the season review, but also transfer special for going into this next season. And hopefully we can get the right players in the right spots, come up with a good formation that can carry us to much better results this next season. And who knows, maybe we can have a chance of winning the Euros, which is one of the things that we do have to do. So now's our opportunity. We're there. So let's see what we can do. All right, so here we are, end of season review, new arrivals. Let's see what we got here. If it will click over, there we go. Got a bunch of players coming in. In fact, most of these players, let's see here. Gomez started, Kent started, Pobega started, Wood, Markovic, Garces, Anthony, Clemente started quite a few games. Atanisov started a few games towards the end. A lot of these players were part of our starting 11, so there is that. Looks like our best overall here, B- from Gomez, 7.13 overall rating. He started to struggle towards the end, but overall did a very good job for us. Kent also played pretty well. Again, all of these guys struggled towards the end. Kent, 30 years old. I think he still got a few more years out of him, but not a whole lot. So we definitely got to start thinking towards some of our youth of trying to find some good wingers as well. And who knows, maybe we start looking at different formations where we don't use these wingers in the same way. Danneberg, actually was a B+. He's got some potential, but not enough to really be valued at this level. More than likely what we do is we either keep him as a backup or we get to a point where we sell him on and get us a better goalkeeper, maybe demote Anthony down to backup at some point, because quite frankly, he started struggling. And I just don't know if he's going to be our long-term solution there. Pobega did pretty well for us, B- there. Nathan Wood, a C+, which I actually thought he did better than that. Warren did better than that. Maybe it's because of how much we spent on him. Their board is pleased. And it's mainly due because we actually paying him less than we would have expected. I thought he did well, 24 years old. He's got enough potential. He's actually at 4 stars now, so he's actually at his potential, but we'll see. I think he's a good player for us, and who knows, maybe he's a guy that's worth selling on. He's valued at 30 mil. We paid 13.75. Maybe he's one of those guys we sell on and cycle through. Markovic, or Markovic, however you want to say that. I thought he played decently well for us. 7.02 ratings, not terrible. 37 appearances. He actually played more than all of these guys, it looks like, except for Anthony. So good stuff from him overall. He was at a C- though overall, looks like. Apparently his wage is too high. Garces, probably the worst of all of these. I mean, he did end up on a 6.96, but I just wasn't feeling it from him. And again, maybe a lot of that has to do with how we were playing him, what position we were playing him. Maybe he's not a lost cause, but we definitely played a lot for him and just didn't get the results we needed from him that I was hoping for. 9 goals, though, in 18 appearances. Not terrible, but we definitely needed more from him. Anthony came in on a C. I guess they're just content with that. Tonin. I remember bringing Tonin in, to be honest, but I guess he's a player that we have that actually is not amazingly good, so maybe we move him on. Clemente actually got a pretty decent rating here. He came in 8 mil, 6.83 ratings. Not the most amazing rating. I would like to have seen better from him, but you know, he's a decent player for us overall. Tanisov, actually B- for this one. Played really, really badly. He was their wonder kid that just isn't developing into the wonder kid we were hoping him to be, but he's still got a lot of space to grow. 21 years old. Maybe we can get something from him. Hopefully we don't run him in the long run. Transfers out. Adrissi went out, C+. Henrik went out. Sanson went out, a C. Ayoka. I mean, a lot of these guys, I mean, this was our biggest one, 23 mil here, but this is the one that was done before it was agreed to when we joined. So there was nothing else we could do about that one anyway. Multanis, they didn't really like that one, apparently. I guess we made a loss on that player. Whoever that guy is, Simon, I can't say your name. They were okay with that one. There's a D there. Didn't include large future fees, which could have been earned by such a player. Maybe, but how much? Well, how did we sell him for 115? Really? Was that something we did? He's valued at 9 mil and we sold him for 115. I don't remember that, to be honest. Thalvin, I do remember that one. C plus there. Provost, 14.75. That's a big one. I'm not going to go through all these. Let's go look at the big ones, though. Mummin, C plus. This one's a C. There's a 3 mil. 11. Oh, it's a K. I thought that was a mil. I was like, yeah. 6.5 mil. There's a C. There's a 5 mil. That's a C minus. There's a couple more there. So we had a lot of transfers out. Some of them were decent transfers out. In fact, if you look at the ratings for a lot of these guys, I'm guessing this is the ratings for where they went to. The only one that was actually halfway decent was this guy up here, Adrissi. Other than that, everybody else honestly just didn't do amazingly well overall. Loans out. Actually, the loans out I felt like were much better. Marigos here playing pretty well. He's got a decent amount of potential. Could develop into something good. Could develop into a starter for us. Mamadi here. Probably not the most amazing player, but he played well this season. Blondell, we actually brought him back. If I remember right. Athumani, he's actually got a lot of potential. And actually looking mixed results. A few things went up, a couple things went down, but he played well this season. He might be one of those guys that we bring back into our side for this next season. Meneses didn't do super great. Steven, fullback, got some potential, but he hasn't actually come to see that very well. And a few more as we go down the list. Season results, we already know this. Board expectation was initially top half. I eventually thought we were in such a good position to end up in top 3 that I actually argued for increasing our salary and our transfer budget at the mid-season mark to try and go for the Champions League, which increased the expectations, which is actually what put us under hot fire right now. So overall, apparently they are delighted. That doesn't make any sense because I think they're actually upset with us because we increased expectations and didn't meet those. But and then the French Cup here, obviously the D for getting knocked out was really, really bad. Although again, we did get knocked out by the guy that went on to win the whole thing. So you got that to show for it, I guess. Other than that, yeah, I mean, that's it. Teams that went down, Toulouse, Nims, however you say that. Amiens actually 17th spot. So they dropped pretty far from our 10th spot that we had them at before. Moments to remember. Biggest win was our win against LOSC, and then they beat us at the very end. Crazy stuff. Match to remember was our win against OL, and again, they beat us at the end, didn't they? I think. So we actually had some really good victories and just couldn't keep up. It was very disappointing to see towards the end there. Goal of the season was from Sanson. Let's see here. Can we click on that specifically? Let's go look at this goal from Sanson. Sanson right there. There's Kent with the ball. Pushes up pretty deep. Gets it back over to Sanson. Sanson just one hit there. Very, very good there. I mean, that was a good goal, to be fair. That was a really good goal. So good for him. We go look at the finances now. Annual revenue went a little bit down on the sponsorships, quite a bit down on the broadcast revenue. That's unfortunate to see. Corporate and hospitality went down. Competition prize money did at least go up, and matchday commercial retail went down. I mean, it's really sad to see all this money that we've lost from previous seasons. So hopefully that starts to bounce back a bit. No reputation change, no new sponsorship deals. Number of shirts: Pobega, Garces, Kent, Lopez, and Onus. Onus actually on this list. That is a little surprising, but interesting to see. Total merchandise sales 6.505 mil. So not too bad. How we lined up, obviously most of our lineups were in this formation, 4-2-3-1 wide, with most of our guys being very near a 7.0. It's interesting to see Patau in here. I guess Lopez is back here. I see him now. Obega, Gomez, Caleri. Caleri is in this list as one of our guys that we lined up with, and obviously he's gone. So that's our key player. I mean, again, once we lost him, a lot of stuff went downhill. Player awards. Fans player of the season was Pascagli. Not too surprising. Wood, young player of the season. Again, not too surprising. Signing of the season, Wood. Goal of the season, we already saw that, Sanson. Top goal scorer was actually Ryan Kent on that left side. 13 goals from the 30-year-old. Most assists was Pascagli. 8 assists from that left fullback role, which is really awesome to see. Most player of the match awards, also Pascagli. Highest average rating, Pascagli. Pascagli just playing well for us. And then most passes completed for 90 minutes was Pobega, actually. And then competition awards, nothing, because we obviously didn't advance very far there. Record breakers, most goals by a player in a match was Kent with 3. Most goals by a player in a league match, again, Kent with 3. Highest transfer fee paid was for Garces. We spent the bank on him. Still not impossible for him to turn into something, but probably went a little overboard. But kind of panicked, I'll be honest. Once we lost Caleri, I panicked. A couple of people are getting sacked, it looks like. Season review. Oh, this is just the season review. Did we already... What's this look like differently? Oh, we already saw this. I wonder why it showed up differently. I don't think there's anything new here to look at, so we'll zip through this real quick. 2021, which I don't know. We weren't here for that, so I don't know if we really care. Seasonal performance analysis. I mean, we were quite impenetrable still on defensive efficiency, even with the slip-ups at the end. So we had a good defense. We just fell apart there at the end. Here's the big story. Aggressive and wasteful on the offense. I mean, we obviously want to be over here closer to some of these guys, Monaco, Rene, and PSG, and we were just very wasteful. Wasted a lot of opportunities. Average 1.9 XG per match. We did have more goals than XG, to be fair, more points than what our X points was, but X points position was 3rd, and we were actually 4th. Obviously 3rd, we'd be talking a different story right now. The board would not be unhappy with me right now if we had gotten 3rd, because we would have qualified for the championship. Dressing room atmosphere is average, so it's dropped a bit. It's not impossible to get that back. Managerial support's dropped a little bit, but it's still very good overall, so that is good to see. New season team report. I mean, we got a lot of good stuff here. A lot of good things going for us. A lot of bad things as well. So we'll look at that more as the season goes on. Injury report, nothing there. End of season break. And of course, there's our post-match analysis from the Rene game. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and put a pause in there. We'll come back as things start to develop with the transfers and things like that. You guys will know when I know. Does it say where we were projected to be at the beginning of the season? Or is it already flipped over? We were projected to be 6th, and we got 4th. So we did overachieve as I wanted to. And I was thinking we could, but not by much. And obviously not as much as I would have hoped we would have, but not too bad overall, all things considered. We do have a key player on this list. I actually have a couple of them, so that's good to see. All right, well, like I said, we'll be back when we've got news to talk about. No news on the transfer front at the moment, although I do have a couple things in the works, some pretty big ones, pretty expensive ones as well. I'll let you guys know. As you can see, I'm actually offering out a Tanisov. He's not happy with me right now. I would like to keep him, see if we can develop him, but if not him, then we're going to try and sell him on and see if we can get a replacement for him that maybe is already at the developed stage and is better. So I'll let you guys know how that turns out. But we did win manager of the season. Wanted to show that off, which is pretty awesome. Maybe the board will, I guess here's Longoria, director of football. So maybe the rest of the board will be happy with my manager of the season reward. Maybe that'll cut a little bit of the pain off, but we shall see. But I'm going to continue doing transfer stuff. It's only the 7th of June. We still got a lot of time left. In fact, the window hasn't even opened yet. So I'm really just kind of doing some pre-transfer kind of shenanery right now. So we'll find out. I'll let you guys know when something else comes up. All right, I am back. And as you can tell, I'm wearing a new shirt. So it's a new day of the transfer window, transfer special. And I came to you full screen because I didn't want to give anything away just yet. I want to explain myself for a second. I went a little crazy. But we've got the best striker in League One. So let's see what I did real quick. All right. You're going to see it already. It's going to give it away. But we'll look on the right side again. And I'm actually going to change this from all transfers to just cash transfers, which does shrink it up enough so it's above my head. So I don't have to turn off the camera right now. That's good. We brought in 103 million and we paid 134 million. And 80 million of that is one player. I went crazy. I was like, you know what? What would happen if we had a star player, like an amazing player? And like I said, this player is the best striker in a League One right now. That's something. That is something. So how did this happen? Let's start on the right side. So Patel went out. We didn't really get much for Patel. honestly, we got undervalued for him, but he did want to leave. In fact, what was it? Was this the one where I think he was about to be under contract and then they wanted him and we actually got them to pay a little bit money extra or something? I can't remember exactly how this one worked out, but we got paid less, or we got less for him than he's worth, which was unfortunate, but he wanted to leave. So that's kind of just what happened. Clemente here didn't necessarily want to leave, but we got a decent offer for him. And I would say of all of these, just to be clear, Clemente's probably the one I'm most concerned about losing. And that's not saying that he was the best, but he's the one I was most concerned about losing. And I'll explain myself why here in just a second. But Clemente went out. I mean, he's valued at 15 mil. He played well for us this last season, but not amazingly well. 6.79 is not great. We paid 7 mil for him. He gave us 6.79. Could have been better for sure. And we more than doubled that on the return. So I felt like that was a pretty decent turn of business. Like I said, from how he played last season, he's probably the one that was most expendable. But from the spot he fills and how we were going to replace that spot, we just haven't actually replaced this midfield spot yet. That's the reason why he's the one that I'm probably going to miss the most here. Touré here is the reason that we decided to go for Hasenhüttl. Hasenhüttl was completely out of the question, never going to happen, especially because I'd already paid for Oscar Bob up here, 28 mil for Oscar Bob. Hasenhüttl was not going to happen. But after we sold Clemente and then Touré again, I was like, wait a minute, we're halfway there. We're about halfway to Hasenhüttl. Why is this realistic? So we went through and found a couple other guys that we could sell on. Palencia guy here. We weren't going to be using him. 31 years old. Got, it says he's valued at 15.75. He was valued at like 4 mil when I sold him. So we got a little bit of money for him. Marigos here says he's valued at 4.7. He was 21 years old. I mean, he was a decent goalkeeper, but not necessarily amazing. So we got a little bit of money for him as well. Kent is a big one. Obviously, this is a big one. We liked Kent. Actually, Kent played pretty well for us this last season, didn't he? 7.06. So obviously, really, really well for us this last season. We paid 16.5 for him, and we got 21 mil back for him. Got a little bit of money back for him. And the reason we went ahead and went with Kent and Atanesov, the reason we went with a lot of these guys is because we'd already gotten Bob, so Bob can play either side, and then Hasenhüttl was going to allow us to get rid of kind of a central midfielder, attacking midfielder, which is actually part of the reason we got rid of Lopez here, and move up to a double striker formation. So we'll show you that in a second. But getting rid of Kent, that hurt a lot. I really liked Kent a lot. He played well for us. But one thing about him, he was 30 years old, and I was worried that at a moment's notice he could get injured and we would just be without him anyway. So I was like, let's get some money for him while he's still healthy. And we got a little bit more money than we had paid for him originally. Alexander here was just an extra kid just to get some money for. I had looked at it, and we had several attacking midfielders in the center. He was our fourth or fifth best or something like that. And we were not planning on playing this formation this season anyway. So I was like, you know what, let's go ahead and move this kid on, get something for him that's going to help pad out some of this stuff. And plus, getting money for him allowed us to get a couple other backups for some other slots as well. So that felt like a good move. Atanesov is probably the most controversial here. We paid a lot of money for Atanesov, and he probably will develop to be an amazing player, quite frankly. Would I have liked to keep him? Sure. But selling Atanesov, it was truth be told, I had actually been trying to sell Atanesov before I sold Kent. And then by the time Kent went, there was already finally had some interest in Atanesov. So it was kind of a really tough one. He played really poorly for us this last season. And we lost a lot of money for him. I'm not too worried about the money we lost for him though, because of how much we got off of Touré. I mean, he was valued at like 5 million. He says 12.5 now. He was valued at 5 million. And then these guys just went on this bidding war. I was cycling through like 3 or 4 clubs that were just bidding on him. And I was bumping it up at 750,000 like every time one of them would accept, I'd bump it back up. Next one would accept, and they would just cycle through. Eventually got down to just 2 clubs, Torpedo Moscow, and I can't remember the other one. And they just bounced it back and forth for a couple more mil. We got him pushed up all the way to 21.5. So I think the overage we got there helps pay for the under that we got for Atanesov. Honestly, the board almost didn't let us get rid of Atanesov. They were hoping we would get at least 31 mil. And I would have liked to have gotten 31 mil for him, obviously, but it just wasn't going to happen. Are we going to regret losing him? Maybe. He may turn out to be an amazing player. He was that one kid that was a wonder kid, but he was that final piece once we sold all of this other stuff and kind of got all these other pieces. It was that final piece to get Hasenhüttl. And by the time I got to 60 mil, I think I was at 63 mil, and I was just a little bit short. I was like, I have to get rid of Atanesov too, right? I mean, I had to pull the trigger on Atanesov. Because as you can see, I'd already pulled in a couple other guys because I didn't think the Hasenhüttl one was going to work out after all. And then we did finally get rid of Kent. We got rid of Atanesov. and we were able to get Hasnut in. Finally, Lopez went out. The biggest reason Lopez went out is because, well, half of it was because he's old, and again, afraid he's going to get injured. I want to get some value for him somehow. But the other half is that we weren't planning on playing that attacking midfielder in the center role anyway, and so it felt okay to go ahead and move him on, even though he could play central midfielder as well. But getting a little bit of money for him helped us get, this Moens guy. Obviously helped pay for a little bit of Baranov, and we'll go through this guy here in just a second. And then there's one more guy coming in here for 10 mil, who's a center back, could also play on the left-hand side. So a couple more rotation players coming in to help us out. Let's go through our players that we did bring back in, though. Oscar Bob here comes in. He can play on the right. He can play on the left. He prefers to play on the right as an inverted winger or inside forward, but he's okay playing as a normal winger on the left-hand side. He can also play a little bit deeper back. Current 3.5-star ability, potential 4-star, so he's still got some potential to grow and get a little bit better. We probably overpaid for him a little bit. 28 mil. He's valued at 26. I guess that's about break even, honestly. When you're talking about that close, it's probably pretty good. A couple seasons ago, actually for the last several seasons, he's been very close to a 7.0. He was 7.11 several years back for Newport. 6.95, 6.88, 6.96, 6.9. I mean, decent stats, not amazing blow your head away stats, but decent stats. And I think he's going to come in and be okay for us, though. He's got some of the qualities that I want, and we'll see what he can do for us. He fills in basically the Kent role probably more than anything. The Tanisov one, he was more of a backup when Gomez was injured. Norris comes in. He comes in as a backup for our left back because Biscagli obviously is he's getting older. He was injured for a bit this last season, and I needed somebody to kind of fill in that backup role. He's probably not going to be our long-term forever one, although he has 3.5-star potential. He has some potential to grow, but he's actually going to be able to come in. He's got decent crossing, good acceleration, good pace, good stamina, good agility. I mean, he's good athletics, and he should be able to come back in and give us a decent setup over here on the left-hand side. Technically, he can actually play as a backup as the attacking midfielder on the left as well if we need him in a pinch, so that actually gives him a little bit of flexibility. Baranov comes in as a central defender, not just anybody that is amazing necessarily. 2.5-star current, 3-star, potential. So he's going to be a solid, just decent player, good backup player. Maybe we overpaid for him a little bit as well, but I really wanted to get somebody backed up in that slot, and he seemed to fit the bill for us there. Hasnut, obviously, we've already talked about. He comes in, 4-star current, could be as high as a 5-star potential, 21 years old. He's got a lot of 4 stars at 21. I mean, he's not even at his prime yet. This dude is going to be one of the best players in the world, let alone this league. He's literally a 4-star in every single row possible. This guy is amazing. Valued at 53 mil, and we paid 80 mil. The reason we paid 80 mil for is because they were not going to get rid of him. However, he had an $80 million or 80 million euro release clause that was going to go up, I think they said, or I think there was probably potential that it could have gone up this next season. So if we wanted him, now was our time to get him, or we were just never going to have him. So we brought him in, and is it a mistake? Put our eggs in one basket? I don't know, maybe. But a guy of this caliber, I mean, dare I say this guy's Mbappe level at someday? I mean, when he gets 27, 28 years old, this guy might be as good as Mbappe. Maybe. I don't know. We'll find out. But we brought him in, throwing all our eggs into one basket. I just wanted a great striker, and Garces was just not quite filling that role. But he might be a good support striker. We'll see what he does. We brought Kenny Moens in here. He just comes in as he can be a decent defensive midfielder if we decide to go that route. He can technically play central defender, and he can play midfield. Okay. Again, 2.5-star current, 3-star potential. So he's going to be an okay, decent rotation player, and that's part of the reason we got him. And that's that. That's our team. If we go look at the team report, squad depth, and you can see here, I've already switched things over to the 4-2-4 wide. And there's our two-star players. In fact, if we look at this, Villa is actually our best coach for judging player ability. And so this is how it is. His 4-star ability actually drops a couple of these guys. Like Oscar Bob, before we brought Hasnut on, he was a 3.5-star. Gomez, I think, was actually 3.5-star for a moment there. Athumani was a 3-star. Some of these guys looked a little bit better before we brought Hasnut in, and now Hasnut's here, and he got to drop a couple guys down, just a slight notch. But as you can see, we've got a good couple strikers. Technically, Gomez could fill in there. Fortune, Tone, a couple of these backup guys could fill in there if we absolutely had to. And these guys, have some potential to grow into something. Well, maybe not Tonin, but Fortune does. So we have a couple guys that could back up if somebody gets injured. It's not great, but hopefully it never doesn't come to that. Gomez, Bob, and this Norris guy that I talked about can play on the left-hand side. Bob, again, can play on the right with Gomez also over there. Athumani over here on the right. Fortune can play on the right. So not the most amazing depth. Once we get to the second string, it does drop skill quite a bit, unfortunately, in a couple of these places. But again, I'm hoping that it doesn't come to that too often. Midfield, Pabega still comes in as our best. Bertelli coming back from loan last season. He's looking really good right now. And I'm hoping he can play pretty well. He's actually injured today, so we're not going to be able to play him in the match, which you'll see tomorrow. We got this Caprice guy coming in, decent player as well. And then here's our defense. Defense is probably some of our weakest stuff, especially over here on the left-hand side. Biscagli, again, if he gets injured, all we've got left is Norris over here. On the right-hand side, technically Wood can play as well as Markovic. So Markovic will probably start because Wood will be in middle. But if we need to, we can shift Wood over, play Kletikar and maybe Baranov or something like that. One of these guys here in the central defender role. And of course, our goalkeeper is still Anthony. Would have liked to have got an upgrade on the goalkeeper, but I went more attacking on the improvements. Again, if people get injured, we could be in trouble again. If our injuries stay pretty light, I think we've got a really, really strong squad here. If we go look at the competitions, and you can see a couple of people already played. RC Lens and Paris SG have already played a game, already won. Thankfully, PSG did not win by like 4 or 5 goals like they did last season on the first game. They've only won by 2, but still. If we go look at the preview, we're, again, same as last season, slated to be number 6 in the league. Hopefully we can overachieve even better than we did last season and get that top 3 finish like we have to have, or else we're going to get fired. And there's Hasnut, number 1 striker in the league. There's Mbappe still over here, although on the right-hand side, though. Hasnut's there. Do we have any other players? We got Wood that's also in the list. I'm surprised Biscagli's not in here anymore. I guess he's just not quite as good as some of the other guys that come in. But we got a couple of decent players there, so that's going to be pretty awesome to have. Anything else we want to look at? Like I said, here's the tactic we're probably going to be playing. Some sort of 4-2-4 or some variations of that. We could also do a 4-4-2 at some point, although Bob does not like playing back here quite as much. But that's definitely an option. I thought about going with a diamond, but that means Bob doesn't play. And we need Bob to play because we've spent a lot of money on him and he's a decent player. So we'll do this for now, probably. Play around with things, see how it goes. Technically, would this guys be better? Well, it'd only be better flip-flopped if we were going to play inverted winger, which we're probably not going to play inverted winger with 2 strikers. If we went back down to 1 striker at any point, we might do some sort of inverted winger, some sort of, thing, which does give us the opportunity that if somebody does get injured, one of our strikers does get injured, we can potentially find somebody who can play attacking midfielder here or some other thing and just go down to a 1 striker formation at that point. So we'll play it by ear, see how things go. But yeah, that's that. And here's our schedule. The next episode you guys will see, we'll be playing Orléans and Reims, which, if you guys remember, at the end of last season, we have to have 10 points in the first 5 games. So that means win 3, draw 1, lose 1. These are winnable games. Orléans is supposed to be, I think, slated for last is the projection. Reims is like 12th or something like that. Rennes, I think, is 7th or 8th. So that's a little bit higher. RC Lens is probably going to be pretty high. That's probably our one that we could lose if we needed to. And the AS Saint-Etienne, I actually don't remember where they were at in the preview. There's Reims. Oh, they're 10th in Reims. Actually, RC Lens was projected to be 14th, so maybe they're a decent team for us to go up against as well. Orléans is down here at 20th. AS Saint-Etienne is 11th. And that was the other one was Rennes, right? So they're actually the one that's the highest up, which is 5th. So I think they're winnable games. I think we've got enough winnable games. I think we can get 10 points out of these for 5 games with the team that we have. If not, but then we deserve to get sacked at that point. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, that's it for the transfer special. And I hope you guys are as excited about this season as I am. Definitely playing with one of the best players that I have ever played with in any of these games ever. So this is going to be a lot of fun to see him develop and see how he does. It was crazy and it was probably really dumb. And by all means, please let me know in the comments how dumb it was to go for him, put all my eggs in one basket like that. But I'm still excited. I want a player like that. I can't help it. I'm impatient. Okay. I could have gone to another club. Like I could have gone to Germany or England or Spain or any of those places and eventually gotten Hasnut in one of those places with maybe a better club when we moved on to one of those places. But I can't help it. I'm not patient. So I wanted him now. We'll see how it goes. But I do appreciate you guys watching. May God bless you. And I hope you join me again next time for our first games of our 8th season overall. Thank you and goodbye.